Hi, welcome back. Okay, so today's video is going to be about pagan questions that I looked up, and I'm going to answer them for you. The first one is, how did I encounter paganism or witchcraft? As anybody who's been watching my channel for the last year or so knows that I was born into this. My mother at the time was a witch, and she went to her own coven meetings and stuff like that, so I did grow up with that. That is how I got into that, but I will get into the rest of that in a minute. The second one is, what was my first book? Okay, I don't have my first book anymore. My first book was a very complex book. Now, I can't even remember the name of it, but it took me 2 weeks to even read it the first time because it was so complex and so difficult. But that's what I liked about it. It explained things that I hadn't even thought of. And I can't find it again, so I can't buy it. So I don't know how to get a hold of that again. We'll see. The third one is my first spell. My ever first spell my ever first spell just so happened to be a protection spell. And my second spell was a love spell that I shouldn't have done. It backfired on me. And yeah, so that's a lesson for anyone who seems to care. Don't do a love spell. It might backfire. Just avoid it in general. The next one is first crystal. Now, I actually do have one of those crystals. I don't remember where I put it. It's basically just a quartz crystal. I got it from my papaw. He had a bunch of them. So that is my first crystals I got from him. My second one is a purple quartz crystal that I carry around with me. It's got a protection spell on it and stuff like that. The next one is, who was the first god or goddess I encountered? Now, that is somewhat of a complicated question, because when I first started, I wasn't really looking at gods and goddesses. I didn't pray to one. Yes, I used magic and other things, but at that time, when I first got into this, it was not at the forefront of my brain to look for a god or goddess. It wasn't until years later that I got into Celtic and Egyptian path. When I first got into this, when I was 12 and a little bit younger than that, I didn't have a path. I just did what I thought was the best, I guess. I've mainly focused on spells. I didn't focus on a path or gods. Now, my first god or goddess that I actually encountered after that timeline was when I moved here to Indiana. And I first encountered Bast, which is the Egyptian goddess of cats and a few other things. And the first god that I encountered was Cernunnos. And hopefully I said that right, because I can't remember how to say it now for whatever reason. And that, at the time, was what I went for. Now isn't so much. I am currently looking up other paths. The Celtic path isn't really calling out to me anymore. Doesn't mean I don't believe in the gods anymore. It's more along the lines of, I thought that was my time to branch out. Part of my path is believing that I need to learn about other paths as well, not just stay on one or two. I believe that I need to branch out and learn as much as I can. Okay, the next one is, how did you first meet other pagans? I have not actually met any other pagans. I do have a pen pal that I write to. She's in holy crap, where is she from? That's sad. I have a letter from her in somewhere. There we go. She's from Idaho, I do believe. I do believe so. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. She's older than me. She knows a lot more than me. And that was the whole purpose of getting a pen pal that was pagan, is because I don't have anybody where I'm living, and I thought it would be a good idea to learn from somebody who's been in the path, been in what I believe in longer than I have. So there you go. I don't really have any pagan friends in real life. I do have pen pals and stuff like that. The next one, first festival or meetup or first class or workshop. These are two different questions, by the way, but I'm going to answer them at the same time because they both have the same answer. I have not been to a festival or meetup. I have not been to a class or workshop. I want to. That is my goal sometime in the future, to be able to go to a festival or a workshop or a meetup or anything of those. That is my goal. However, it's not happened yet. We'll see, and I'm pretty sure I will make a video on it if it does happen. The next one is first chant. The first chant, again, was a protection spell. I am very big on protecting myself. I do not believe in opening myself to things that I shouldn't be opening myself to. So I'm very big on that. I don't know if I've stated this in other videos, but every month I go through my house and I bless it. I make sure that there's nothing here. Now, also, as I've mentioned, there is something in my apartment. It's not harmful. It doesn't do anything. It's a shadow person. He likes to roam around. He follows rules very well. So I'm okay with it, I guess. The next one is first method of divination. That would be tarot cards. I hate tarot cards, to be perfectly honest, but when I was younger, that's exactly what I first got started on. I can't remember how I got my first deck. I think it was from my mother. But at the time, I couldn't get it then either. It's very complicated for me, and I don't like it. Like, I understand it's easier for some people, maybe because the pictures or something, but to me, it just doesn't make any sense. No matter how hard I've tried, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I went from tarot decks to runes. That seems to be a lot easier for me. I do make my own runes when I can, and I don't like to buy my own buy my own runes. I like to make my own. The next one is, what was my first tool? Okay, my first tool, I'm going to show you. Now, this thing really does weigh a ton. Like, you can definitely feel it. It weighs a ton. Like, I'm exaggerating a bit, but it's like, you can tell it's got weight to it. It's not hollow. And that was actually something that I got from my mother. My sister has one too, I do believe. It was our first thing that we ever got. I was 11 or 12 at the time. And this was my very first witchy tool. My second witchy tool actually came from my grandmother, who decided one day that she was going to give me a box of books and other things that go in it. And she decided to be condescending about it and say that, oh, once you read these books, you're not going to want to follow witchcraft anymore. You'll realize how wrong it is. Obviously, that backfired on her, considering, well, I'm still in my path. That was like years ago. So this is my second tool. And yeah, my grandmother and I have not spoken since, at least not in a nice way. But I didn't appreciate her saying that in public, which is what she did. My family seems to have that issue with the saying stuff out in public when they shouldn't be, but that's another topic for another day. All right, the next one is first method or exercise for energy work. I actually do my own energy work, but it's not really considered energy work. I meditate, I focus on my own energy. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I am somewhat empathetic. If I am not careful, I will start feeding off of other people. And I've noticed it. When I was living with my ex-best friend up in New Albany, Indiana, I was actually feeding off of her neighbor that was really, really sick. She had the flu or something like that, and I was feeding off of her. Now, granted, some people may say, oh, you may have just been sick, which is what I thought too. But it doesn't really work that way. If you, like, leave the house and you're not anywhere near her, and you're, like, instantly better, then you know something's wrong. And that would happen to me every time I'd leave the house, every time I'd leave that apartment. I would feel instantly better, like nothing would be wrong with me. But the moment I'd step back into that apartment and near that woman, I got instantly sick again. So, you know, I know it sounds a little far-fetched, but that's how I deal with it. All right, the next one is the background of witchcraft that I do. I am a solitary. I am eclectic. And that is about it. I take one path and put it with another, or take several paths and put it with another. And that is my version of witchcraft. And I do associate myself as a witch. I do not see anything wrong with it. No. Other people may see things wrong with it, but I know what I believe in. I know what I do. And it's not really their opinion that I'm looking for. The next one, favorite witchy thing to do. That would be to read. Now, I have like a million witchy books. There are like a few that I read every so often, and I will get into what those are in a second. The next one is favorite type of magic. I don't have a favorite type. I mean, I've been told that there are certain types like black magic and white magic. I don't believe in that whole crap. I believe that magic is what you intend it to be. It's not inherently black or inherently white. I don't believe in that. And that is my whole point of view on that. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that one. Anyway, favorite herbs. I don't really have any herbs. I mean, I do, but I wouldn't consider them my favorites. The ones I used to use when I was little was juniper berry and sage and lavender and that anise as well. I think could be used as a tea for headaches. The next one, favorite witchy movie. Should have known this was going to be brought up, guys. Alright, my favorite witchy movie is Practical Magic. Now, some of you may be wondering as to why I'm saying this. Anyone who has watched this movie will vouch that they make witches look very, very good in this movie. They make it very realistic, maybe not all of it, but most of it is realistic. Where you don't do harm, you don't do certain spells, and certain things that could potentially backfire, and all that stuff. That is a very realistic movie. It's not as realistic as it could be, but it is somewhat realistic. So there you go. That is my favorite witchy movie, is Practical Magic. For anyone who hasn't seen it, please go watch it because it's really freaking good. Next one is favorite witchy books. Told you I'd be brought that up, wouldn't I? Alright, so I have several books here. I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you the ones that I don't read that often, and then I'm going to show you the very last one, which is what I do read a lot. Matter of fact, I'm reading it now. The first one is Everyday Magic by Dorothy Morrison. There are spells, rituals, and what else is in here? I don't want to show you until I tell you what's all in here, because I'm weird that way. Let's see. There's magical boosters, gifts of nature, and modern tools for ancient arts, living the charmed life, modern magic for busy folks. There's abuse, acceptance, addiction, anger, anxiety, apathy, attention, automobiles, so on and so forth. There you go. It's basically the ABCs of magic, essentially. And that is basically it. All the stuff that I just mentioned, the ABCs version, is all stuff from everyday life, magic for everyday life. And here's what it looks like. Now, I will grant I have not actually read this book all the way through, considering it's mostly spells, but I plan on doing so at some point in the far-off future, maybe. Yeah, sort of. The next one is A Witch's Beverages and Brews by Patricia Telesco. Magic Potions Made Easy. I would read some of these out, but it's copyrighted, so I'm not even gonna. Alright. The part one is History's Chalice. I think it goes through history, historical and magical roots, religion, myth, and magic, medicinal beverages, legends, and lore, basic brewing tools, beer, drinking vessels, toasts, focused drinking, beverages to enhance food, potent potions, liquid divination. The recipes, there's a lot of recipes in here, so I'm only going to read a few. The recipes and mundane considerations, using this book, abundance and prosperity, balance, banishment, beauty, change and transformation, cleansing and purification, communication, conscious mind, devotion and commitment, dreams and meditation, elemental, seasonal, fertility, providence, grounding, foundations, happiness, health, inspiration, creativity, kinship, unity, and friendship, love, and romance. And there's a few more that I'm not even going to bother reading out. But for anyone who's willing and wanting, this would be a good book if you're into like recipes like that. And here's what it looks like. And last but not least, the book that I'm currently reading at this present point in time is A Witch Like Me. Now, this book is basically, well, I'll just read out the back. They share their insights, feelings, and thoughts, as well as describe the life-changing experiences that led them to walk down the Wiccan path, because they all come from different backgrounds, live in different parts of the world, and practice different forms of magic. A diversity of information is presented to which a variety of people can relate. During the past 20 years, witchcraft, now popularly known as Wicca, has become more and more mainstream and is gathering tremendous public interest. This book describes how more and more people of all ages and backgrounds are embracing the earth-spirited practices of Wicca, and also what the far-reaching effects will be on the future. The collection of first-hand Wiccan accounts, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and read out some of the authors and people that are currently in this book, because what it is it's people tell their own story. The first one is Dorothy Morrison, which is not the author of the book, excuse me. Dorothy Morrison, Phyllis Corritt, Raymond Buckland, anyone who recognizes that, just so everybody knows. Jarena Dunwich, Z. Budapest, Marian Winstein, Patricia Telesco, for anyone who recognizes that author of the book I just showed you. Raven Grimassi, Lady Sabrina, Sky Alexander, AJ Drew, Silver Ravenwolf, Timothy Roderick, and Serona Knight, the book's author. So there you have it. The book is called A Witch Like Me, The Spiritual Journeys of Today's Pagan Practitioners by Serona Knight, author of Exploring Celtic Druidism. And here's what it looks like. You'll see that I'm not even halfway through yet. But that is my all-time favorite book, and I read that every chance I can get. I've read it about 1 million times now. The next one is your totem of or spirit guide. This is actually a very hard question for me. My spirit guide and totem are the same thing. They're cats, but they don't stay the same thing for very long. Sometimes it's a lion, sometimes it's a panther, sometimes it's a bobcat. It just depends on what it wants to do and my mood, I guess. I don't know exactly the requirements for why it changes. Next one is my element. My element is obviously fire. People say that I have a very short temper and so on and so forth, etc. And they're not wrong. I do have a very short temper. Somebody who makes me mad is going to know about it, and I'm not quiet either. The next one is, who is your goddess or god now? I don't have one. Sorry. I mean, I do, but I don't. It's a very odd way to explain this. I do pray to a lot of gods, so I don't just have one or two. It's all of them. Like, I pray to Thor, I pray to Odin, I pray to Freya, I pray to Bast, I pray to Crononus. All those different paths I pray to. That's just the way I am. And on my bad days, or bad days that I feel like, I pray to Bridget and other gods. Next one is shout out to my favorite witchy YouTuber, or YouTubers. Okay, the first YouTuber I'm going to shout out is I can't remember her name. Oh my god. Witch772. There we go. She is my all-time favorite YouTuber ever, like forever. She also has another channel called Pagan Perspective for anyone who's willing and wanting to learn about different paths and different ideas. That is the channel you need to go to. They do weekly videos. Well, they do more than just weekly videos. What am I saying? But Cutewitch772 is the person that uploads on Tuesdays. There are other ones that upload on every other days of the week. Next one is, what is my witchy name? I actually have two. Now, obviously my YouTube channel is my first witchy name. My other one, I don't tell people. The reason why I have two is because one is used for spell work, one is not. And the one that I'm using for my YouTube channel is not used for spell work. The other one is, and I don't believe in giving that name up. So, you guys will never know. But I will tell you how I got to these names. The first one, which is the one that is my YouTube channel, I styled it after my element. Considering that I am fire, I styled it after fire. Sola means sun. Wild Soul may not mean fire, but it's basically what I am. So, the second witchy name I have is actually styled after my animal totem, which is a cat. So that is all you need to know on that one. The next one is, do I believe that my gods are real? Do I use magic more than prayer or ritual? Again, these are two questions, but I'm trying to make this as short as possible. Do I believe that my gods are real? Yes. I do believe that they are the same as me and you. I do believe that they breathe, that they have problems, that they're human, just like us, that they have their own faults, have their own temperaments, and all of that stuff. I do not believe in a God that is perfect. I cannot believe that. I do not believe that, and I will never believe that a God is perfect. I believe that gods are not. And that is how I believe. Do I use magic more than prayer or ritual? No. I haven't done a ritual in years. I don't believe in my witchcraft being complicating, and that's what a ritual to me is. A ritual is very, very complicating. I don't believe that. If I'm going to do something magic-wise, it's going to be sweet, simple, and to the point. I do not believe that it has to be all drowned out by ritualistic whatever. Now, that is my opinion. That's the way I believe. Not everyone has to believe that way. But I do not use ritual at all. I will not, cannot. I do not believe that things should be that complicating. I do use prayer. Now, I've heard people say that it's not right that pagans should pray. It's a Christian thing. No, it's not a Christian thing. Anybody should be able to pray to their gods, whether you like it or not. Get over it. Now, magic to me is simple. Like certain chants or spells or whatever that doesn't require a lot of work, but could be styled to be safe or styled to receive what you want, basically. At the same point in time, I also do not believe in begging your gods for things. If you really need help, yeah, it's okay to ask. But don't beg. To me, that is something a Christian does, is begs your God for help or whatever. I don't believe that you should do that to your God. You should be that type of person to stand up and get what you want on your own. That is the whole point of being us, having free will. There is a saying that you can't get anything if you don't work for it. That's basically the way that I believe. So, that is it. That is all the witchy questions that I have. And hopefully, this helps you guys some into what I believe in. So, I will see you guys next time, and blessed be.